All right, I'll do a one, two, three clap.
Okay.
One, two, three.
Hey, it's Cleo. If you're just joining us, just tuning in to either of our channels, I've got Ian here with me today.
Hello.
I've been knocking around the internet for about 25 years, writing about this and that, a lot of different horror type topics, which is how we ended up on Silent Hill 2. And I was on my Patreon and talking about how I had never played a video game before, and I really wanted to play Silent Hill 2 remake. Long story. And my sister and my best friend said, "That's wild that you want to play a video game. You need to record this." And so Ian jumps in and says, "If you need any tech help, let me know and I'll help you with anything you need." I've kind of considered doing my own music themed commentary. And I said, "I am hijacking you and you are doing this with me. We are going to be commentary twins." We are emotional support, commentary buddies. We'll do this in tandem. Please help me. I'll never finish it by myself. So, what I actually have never asked you this.
Mhm.
What did you have in mind in the beginning? Because you said you had wanted to do this for a long time. Was this something you'd wanted to do for the original game, talk about the music, or something that kind of came about as you were playing the remake?
So I have wanted to do like a YouTube series. I've wanted to do many YouTube series that I've just not had the wherewithal or time or energy or whatever to do, which is why streaming is great. Just do it and then fix it in post. Um, but like for years, I had wanted to do deep dive YouTube videos on everything from like the Lord of the Rings music to the Silent Hill music to just stuff that I enjoy. Like I think when Captain America Civil War came out, I did something that was kind of like that, where I did this like 2 video review of the movie where I dug deep into like, oh, I think this is what they were going for thematically and all this stuff, and that may still be up on my YouTube somewhere. Do I still want that to be there? I don't know. It's fine. I didn't say anything bad. It's just me years ago, and
I
I'm
think of
getting
it as
away.
baby photos.
Yeah.
I I decided I was just going to start doing this ugly no matter
Mhm.
how amateurish it was, because we could just all look back at it and be like, that was so cute when she was starting out, look how bad it was. Bless. So, it's fine.
But yeah, so I had seen plenty of people do video essays on different aspects of Silent Hill 2, and I had also started to follow different musicians doing commentary things on music. Like I don't know if you're familiar with the Charismatic Voice. She's an opera singer who will do like her first
Hmm.
reactions to pop songs or metal songs. There's a piano player, I think Charles Cornell, that I follow, and he'll do kind of like music analysis stuff about movie soundtracks or songs. And I had always wanted to have something like that for the music of Silent Hill 2 because it is one of my favorite pieces of music and was such an influence on me. But I never really saw anyone doing anything like that, and I also wondered if anyone was looking for something like that besides myself. So it was something that I thought would be cool to do. But anytime I thought about doing it as a YouTube series, I was like, oh well, I'd have to script it, and then I'd have to edit it, and there's all this stuff that I have to do with it. And I had tried doing like a YouTube series before with videos about my solo album that I released back in like 2016, and the amount of work that ended up taking made me go like, I don't know if I ever want to do anything like this again. But then, and then on top of that, as time went on, doing something about Silent Hill 2 specifically was like, okay, is this relevant at all anymore? The game came out in 2001. Yes, it's like a seminal video game. It's like a classic, but like the time to strike while the uh, fire is hot is well past that, especially after like the series itself kind of petered out in 2012. And then the remake came out, and it was really good. Everyone was really like, and it wasn't just Silent Hill fans that were getting into it anymore. It was like, oh no, this did well on like a wide, much broader scale. Um, so it isn't just like super specific fans who might be interested in this sort of thing. Like my friends were talking to me about the game, which like none of them play the Silent Hill games. Uh, so I was starting to think again, like, oh, it'd be cool to do something like that. Uh, in the time between, like, I had initially had the thoughts of doing a YouTube series, and now I had also like built a PC specifically for streaming, and I had done some video game streaming during the pandemic. I had also done a lot of music streaming during the pandemic because couldn't go out and play in venues. Um, so I had much more of like the tools to do stuff like this. And I still didn't want to have to like script something. So the idea of streaming it really appealed to me. The only thing that was kind of holding me back was again time and energy because I play regularly. I had a day job, currently still unemployed, but fingers crossed that a few of the job apps that I've got out are gonna go well. Um, but yeah, just trying to fit it in. I wasn't sure how that was going to work, or if I'd be able to do it with any sort of consistency. And then you said that you were getting into it, and as you mentioned, the rest is kind of history. I decided, okay, I both for myself and for Cleo, I want to do this, and streaming means it just whatever happens happens, and so I won't be as in my own head about like getting a good take of something for a video or something like that. It's just the material is there, and it's just editing what I want to edit out of it if I need to or if I want to. Which I still haven't really properly edited my playthrough, and I don't think I will. But doing the staying on theme videos where I'm clipping out the music commentary parts of my playthrough has been a nice way to get that stuff done. And I've actually been enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would. Uh, so I,
Yeah, it's fun in a way. I know you said you didn't quite like editing as much as I
yeah.
do, but it's kind of like putting a puzzle together. It's and I had started doing more of it just to make it kind of more accessible in bite-sized pieces for people who don't want to jump into a 3 hour video because YouTube just randomly put me on their feed. But the 3 hour thing is also kind of baked into the original premise, which was not to get into me, but I had already seen the game several times. I had seen other people play it. I didn't ever think I'd play any video game. And so gradually I was like, I actually kind of want to play this. So there was no way to get around the fact that I knew everything that happened in it. And there was all this cool stuff in the background. So it was like most streamers are playing it cold for the reactions. And in terms of like what you're saying, I don't know that anybody was really doing what either of us are doing, which is talk about stuff in real time instead of here's a 15, 30-minute edited video,
Mm-hmm.
with us telling you in a very scripted way, a really cool way with, lots of clips and inserts
Mm-hmm.
and transitions and music. It's just us being like, okay, come along for the ride with us. Look at this painting over here. Listen to this chord over here. And I think in talking about, what I wanted to do, it sounds like that really either that was kind of already your idea or it kind of gave you permission to let that be, you know.
Yeah.
See, because you're smarter than me,
No.
because you were like, I can do 3 hours every 2 weeks. I don't have to do multiple takes. I can walk away, and that's how long it takes. And you're done with your playthrough. And me being over here, like, yeah, but I'll also do a text write up, and it'll take me 6 weeks for each one. Every time I get COVID, and I'm halfway through the game, and the game's been out a year,
Hmm.
and I'm just like, okay, whatever. So just to be informative to everybody, when you came up with the idea of doing the staying on theme clips, I was like, yes, please do that. Please have something you've got going while I struggle towards which I've already played the entire game. It's not like I
Hmm.
haven't played it before, but it was like, please have something going on in the background. And we're kind of like tilling the earth and turning it over again and again to be like, okay, here's what he said when he was playing this part, and now I'm there. And you've just lapped me. You've just gotten past me. You just did Echoes of Silence. No, you just did Magdalene.
Hmm.
You just posted Magdalene. And Echoes of Silence with the anyway, with that
Yeah.
scene, that's going to be in my next. I guess both of this will be in video 9. And I'm actually making really good time on
Hey.
video 8, which is very sad. Within 2 weeks is very good time for me. But I really like now that I can embed your staying on theme clips into my write-ups. Because before I was like, and here's what Ian had to say on his at 2 hours and 39 minutes. So now it can actually be embedded.
Yeah.
And this was kind of the collaborative nature where it's not necessarily we're on the same stream together, but it's like I'm in your chat
Hmm.
and what you said goes into the write-up. And so it was like parallel at our own pace, but also kind of collaborative.
Yeah.
And so while I'm a little sad that I was so far behind you, at the same time, that's kind of, I don't remember if you came up with the idea or I did to do this, but it's like, okay, I don't want to call this halftime, but let's have a state of the stream, follow up with, you just finished. What was that like for you? For everybody listening, that is the thesis of this this little podcast, audio. It's I want to talk to Ian about what this entire playthrough experience was like for him. And then when I finish, we'll flip it and that's why I was like, let's not get into me. We'll do that later. But the thing that's so interesting to me is that, yes, I had never played a video game before, but you had loved the Silent Hill series for like 20 years.
Hmm.
And I think that contrast is, especially since I'm older than you. I was old enough to play this. I was in college and I had just never played video games as a kid, and it
Hmm.
just didn't. I was like, oh, Pyramid Head, go with the pyramid. I'm something. It's supposed to be really scary. I don't know. So I just love that I'm the older one, but I'm also the baby who didn't know anything. And you were like my lore master, and I'd be like, what is this over here? Is this the cult again? What
Hmm.
is this? So what I really wanted you to get into, uh, also here at the beginning, is how did you get started with Silent Hill? Because it wasn't the games
No.
that you first got started with.
So I remember, yeah, I think my first exposure to honestly like anything Silent Hill related was the trailer for the first movie, the only movie really, uh, the 2006 adaptation by Christoph Gans. Uh, I remember watching that trailer. The music immediately pulled me in. I am all about a good like spooky piano melody, and I'm pretty sure Promise Reprise was like the first thing you hear in that trailer. And then on top of that, just the aesthetic of it is exactly my jam. Uh, there's something about that like dark gothic like the word gritty gets overused, and I don't know if that exactly describes it, but that very uh I always associate it with like 80s and 90s horror. That sense of like, oh, this is grimy. There's something
Yeah.
like just dirty about this, like a very basic way that my brain is always just like, oh, that there's something so that draws me in about that sort of aesthetic. So yeah, watching the movie, which like I'm not going to argue to anyone that it is an excellent movie. It has its flaws. Those have become more apparent to me over time, especially after I started playing the games. But there's still a lot about that movie that I really appreciate about it, and again, it was my entry into the series, and one of the biggest the one of the best choices they made with the movie was they used so many tracks from the video games. They were
I was about to say,
repurposed.
they use a lot from Silent Hill too.
Yeah, so they use a lot from Silent Hill 2. Basically, all the games that had come out at that point, which was just 1 through 4, I think there's at least one track from each of them that gets used in the movie. Often there are like little additional orchestrations, or again, it might be repurposed from what it originally uh, was used for in the game, but it maintained that sense of aesthetic. And that's the thing that I see, even with people who don't like that movie as an adaptation of Silent Hill. Oftentimes they will still say like, "Oh, but they nailed the aesthetic, like the visuals, the music, all of that is there." It's typically the story that people get most critical of, which is understandable.
Yeah, because I haven't watched it yet because there's all of this related material I
Mhm.
keep meaning to watch, including Jacob's Ladder, which I saw decades ago when I was
Oh yeah.
probably too young to see it. But it reminds me a little bit of the way the first Silent Hill game kind of was. And I was about to say, that you were telling me they kind of threw everything at the wall for the first Silent Hill game because they didn't know if they'd ever get another chance to do it. So it was like aliens and cults and this and that.
Yeah.
So it's like they took some of the music from all of the games and they flipped the gender of, it's not Harry, it's now the
Yeah.
mother, and kind of remixed some things in some ways.
Hmm.
And I want to say you were saying the nurses in the first Silent Hill game were more like people who had parasites, but they brought in straight up bubblehead nurses,
Yep.
kind of, with the burned kind of faces.
Hmm.
And Pyramid Head, who technically shouldn't have been there, but they didn't know they would get a chance to do another Silent Hill movie.
Yeah.
So let's just throw it all in there.
Yeah. I totally get it when people are like, Pyramid Head shouldn't be there. Like, yes, in the lore of the video games, it doesn't make sense for him to be there. I Yeah, like when I think about it from the perspective of like they only know that they're gonna get this one movie. They don't know if they're gonna get another. I don't mind that they threw him into the movie. I also think they they do a decent job of just portraying him as this kind of like Punisher type character, uh, a lot more subtly in the first movie than in Revelations, but we're not going to talk about Revelations. Um, I was willing to give it to them. That said, I also understand when like Masahiro gets pissed off at people badgering him on Twitter about things like, "Oh, why was Centralia an inspiration for you?" It's like it wasn't an inspiration for the games; it was an inspiration for the movie. Uh,
I think that was kind of a cool direction to take it if you're going to do a mine and you're like, oh, a mine that's abandoned and burning and
mhm.
ashy and smoky. Okay, now that's not, well, it's not even Pacific Northwest. It's not Atlantic Northeast fog, but okay, you got the spirit. You're a little bit confused, but you got the spirit. Okay.
Mhm.
I do need to sit down and watch it. I've spent way too much time just watching gameplay videos. So I haven't been able to actually break away
Yeah,
into that.
I'll be interested to
But
hear what you think of it, and I like whether you like it or despise it or whatever. I I'm just interested to see what you think of it, because I have also, it is a sort of movie. There are a few movies like this where I will say to people like, I cannot judge this movie objectively because there are things about it that just work for me. Like I think one of the ones that we both can relate on with when it comes to that is Van Helsing, the 2004 Van Helsing movie.
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
I understand when people tell me like that movie's so ridiculous, but for me, I also can't get over how much and a lot of it again phenomenal soundtrack. But like, I watched that movie, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm having so much fun watching this movie. I don't care that the plot makes absolutely zero sense.
I I just a streamer I watch who and I don't want to specifically name who it
Yeah.
was, but they said that they had recently watched the movie Labyrinth and they're younger than me
Mm.
and so didn't grow up with the movie. And they were just like, that movie is garbage. That is
Uh,
terrible. And I was like, okay, if I were your age seeing it today, I would probably think that. But it was like one of the formative movies of my childhood.
mm.
And I've even heard that Robert Eggers may be remaking it.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, that's not going to turn out the way I want it to. It might be a great movie unto itself. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm going to have some emotional problems about this, deep emotional issues.
But this kind of
Because
brings
that
us.
movie,
Sorry, go.
well, I was going to say it came out in like 1986.
Mm.
So you can imagine how many decades it's been
Yeah.
and it's going to be all grimdark and whatever. And there's a point where if I know a movie is considered by a lot of people to not be good, but there are people who love it nonetheless. I have always thought that if someone loves a work of art, if there's someone who loves it, it can't entirely be bad.
Mm.
Like if there's people who just go, this is a piece of shit that has no redeeming value. Like I could something with the word centipede in it, like I'm like, okay, I get you.
Mm.
But if it made someone somewhere happy, it did not entirely fail.
Yeah.
And I'm used to compartmentalizing and being like I used to write about Twilight, and I was like, this is some bullshit right here, and Bella needs to hear about feminism. But this part right here was really effective horror. You
Mm.
know what? This really worked right here. So I'm used to kind of pointing out, you know, I don't really know about this approach, but they really nailed this scene in the school, or I'm making
Yeah.
something up. Like, oh, okay. They do have the spirit. Okay, I
And
got it.
it kind of brings us back to Silent Hill 2 because
Mhm.
we're talking about the remake and the original 2001 game. Like I have had friends who I have one particular friend who has tried playing the original and he just couldn't do it, not because he was scared, but because the controls were just too clunky for him. He just could not like get further than the opening area, like because he was just like, this game handles so poorly, and I am not into it enough at this moment to try to push past that. Whereas me, like playing it in 2006 after watching the movie, I am so enthralled by the story and the music and all that sort of stuff that like my brain isn't thinking about, oh, the voice acting in this is kind of silly, or oh, the controls in this could be better, or it like I might have even struggled with the controls, but it wasn't even a thing in my mind of like, oh, this could be better because I just wasn't playing that many other video games.
Let's say that's kind of what games were like at the
Yeah.
time. And the old Ray Harryhausen stop motion?
Oh yeah.
There's a point where people thought that looked realistic. There's a point
Mm-hmm.
when old school King Kong looked realistic to people. And as things got more and more sophisticated, our eye kind of expects a different level of, I mean, sophistication, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I can see how people loved that game when it came out. I don't know how I would deal with it with the original Silent Hill 2.
Mm.
Because again, this is the first I have now played a little Silent Hill F, but like this is the first video. I learned to drive on a Cadillac. Like I don't know how I would deal with playing the original. I would like to try it. And we've done so much research that I probably know the answers to even the older puzzles. But when the combat, how would I deal with the combat?
Yeah.
Because I've learned to play it this way, and I would just be like, what is happening? I
Yeah.
don't even know.
Quick side note, I
Yeah.
just recently tried playing the original Silent Hill, like Silent Hill 1, the PlayStation game
The
on.
capture card.
Yeah. So I have a copy of it and I've got a PlayStation 3 that I can play it on. I do want to try streaming that or even just recording it. I haven't gotten past I basically tried it out for a few hours, like an hour or so, and then stopped playing and I haven't gotten back to it. Um, but part of that was because, oh my gosh, the controls. Like,
Oh no.
I was in the elementary school, and like I would get through a whole section of the game, and then because I couldn't maneuver Harry around like a corner because of the fixed camera angles and the tank controls, I would just die because I'd get swarmed by mumblers, and I'm like, uh. Now I have to replay like an hour of gameplay.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
So that'll be fun if
I
I do end up
actually
streaming it.
I actually kind of want to play Silent Hill 1 because I mean, I could read up on the entire thing. I'm trying not to
Mm.
just spoil myself entirely, but that is the only experience of the game I would have. I
Mm.
would like to know what's going on with it before Bloober Team puts out the remake, which I'm so happy they're
I'm so
getting them to
excited
do
for
that.
that.
I'm so hyped. I didn't even know anything about this. I didn't even go here until last year. And now I'm just like, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I wouldn't have anything to compare it to
Mm.
if I played it now. Whereas I don't know. I have come to understand that Silent Hill 2 means a lot to people who played it back then. And I kind of got a little taste of what that was like when I started seeing advanced pictures for the movie adaptation this January. And I
Oh
was
yeah.
like, that's wrong. They did it wrong. And I was like, I understand now. I understand now why the old gamers hate people like me. I understand. Because it's like, don't forget about the game that's so good. Don't go off with the movie and forget about us. It's
Mm.
so good. And so now I'm like, okay, so the original people are like, don't forget about us. Don't forget about our game. And I'm like, no, I understand you now.
Mm.
I completely understand you. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, and particularly with video games, like I was listening to another podcast where they were talking about it. Uh, like preserving video game media is like it's become more of a thing in recent
Yeah.
years, but it wasn't really something that they thought about when they were making a lot of these games in like the 80s, 90s and early 2000s. And so a game like Silent Hill 2, like there might be a variety of reasons why Konami hasn't made more of an effort to like get it up on like GOG, for example, like they did with Silent Hill 4.
Mm.
But part of it might just be like the technology isn't there. They tried doing the HD collection, and that was a flop because they were working from an alpha version of the game. They didn't have the
Yeah.
completed game to work from, and it's like, okay, what do we do here?
And then they patched things in and people were upset with that.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
we both got Silent Hill 4 off GOG, and
Yes.
we had talked about you streaming it. I think I definitely want to try to play it. I don't think it's that much newer than the other three original games, but it's at least a few years newer. It might
Yeah.
be. I have watched Gab Smulders play like maybe half an hour of it, so I kind of
Gotcha.
have an idea of what I'm in for.
Hmm.
But I'm like, I really want to play some more Silent Hill games now.
Yeah.
And we have Silent Hill F, and you've already
Yep.
done that all the way through once. And I played 2 hours into it, and the struggle was very real. And I just haven't had time to get back to it. I'm not giving up on it.
Hmm.
I'm like, no, I can conquer this. If I can go from getting stuck in the parking lot to finishing Silent Hill 2, I can play Silent Hill F. It's just going to take a minute. That's fine. But at least Silent Hill 4 is probably something I could play in, I don't know, a weekend. I thought I could do this commentary in 2 weeks, and it's been 10 months. So don't listen to me. But I do think we should both do that. And, for everybody listening, we had talked about what was it? Was it a game, a streaming web series?
Oh,
Is it
Ascension, Silent Hill Ascension.
Ascension?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was. It was essentially a web series that people could like make choices about what happened in it. So it wasn't a game per se. um, but
We got to do something with that
we
because that
gotta.
sounds just bullshit enough to be fun.
Yeah,
And it just,
I really want to see if like it would be if there would be like any copyright issues or something with just streaming it on Twitch and doing like essentially just riffing on it the whole time,
yeah.
because that would be, I think that would be so much fun, even if we
How
can't do it.
long?
So how long is it?
Yeah,
Maybe
like what's the runtime that we're dealing with here?
I'm gonna to look this up on my phone so I don't screw things up on my computer screen.
I'm like, are we talking 2 hours? Are we talking 18 hours? Like what? It's a web series. It
I
couldn't
did
be
look this up at
that
one
long.
point. Um, okay, so it looks like this was the weird. This was the other weird thing about it. Okay, just for the context of anyone listening who might have never heard about this, uh, back in like 2021, I think it was when Konami did their like initial Silent Hill transmission, talking about like, hey, we're bringing the series back, and here are all the things we're doing. They announced the Silent Hill 2 remake, the movie adaptation of Silent Hill 2, Return to Silent Hill, which is being directed by or was directed by Christoph Gans, is coming out January 26th, I think, 2026. Silent Hill Townfall, which is being done by Annapurna Interactive. Uh, Silent Hill F, which just came out. And then there was also this thing called Silent Hill Ascension, which was. It seemed to be them trying to capitalize on the whole streaming thing of like, oh, people like watching horror streamers play games like Until Dawn and getting to help them choose like what happens in the story and stuff. Um, Completely missing the point of like, but those are still actual games and like you can play them on your own and make choices yourself. um, they ended up making this thing called Silent Hill Ascension, which they were releasing short episodes of like 5 to 15 minute episodes, I think, every night for 6 months. From
Hmm.
I was it like it was like October or November of 2023 into
Every night
April of 2024. I
for
think that was what it was.
6 months?
And they had an app for it, and it was like supposed to be like, yeah, hop on every night and watch what happens, and you can vote on stuff earlier in the week and see what ends up happening later in the week. Um, and it was like the kindest way I can put it is it was an incredible misstep. um,
Hmm.
because I need to be clear. Like I only watched 3 episodes of it, so like maybe I guess 45 minutes of content tops. Um,
It was that good, huh?
so it was a combination of like there was weird things about the graphics animation that seemed kind of cheaply put together. The writing did not seem great. I didn't get deep enough to see where the story went, but the dialogue didn't seem great. Like the lore, the best thing I've heard about it is that there are certain lore things they did that were kind of interesting. They introduced this concept of witherings, which is like places where the veil between like the regular world and the supernatural world are thin, and like Silent Hill is one of those places. It kind of connects to the whole idea of like Silent Hill being a psychical place, a place of psychical energies that like note you find early on in the Silent Hill 2 remake. Um,
Which kind of lays the foundation for now we can take it to Japan. We can do
yeah,
it for Silent Hill F, and so we can do it in different places. Yeah.
but yeah, the actual like story as it played out did not seem very well put together. The acting didn't seem great. A lot of people suspected that the script was actually written by AI, which I think has been denied and no one's actually confirmed. But it was bad enough that people were accusing it of that. Um,
Yeah.
and on top of that, like part of the reason that I stopped watching it was because the interactive aspects of the game, at least early on, didn't even work properly. Uh, like I watched the first episode and they were like, "Oh, vote on this thing," and so I voted on that thing, and then 2 days later we get to that moment and it shows which choice that we could vote on won, and then it shows the scene that a different choice was that was for a different choice.
They kind of railroaded what they wanted to
It
happen.
wasn't even
It
that.
kind of sounded like it
Like
wasn't.
so I think later on they did actually do that because yeah, there was the whole thing of like I think there was a sex scene that the developer really wanted to get on the stream and no one voted for it, and so they railroaded it that way anyway.
Nobody wants that.
But that first one that I watched, I think it was literally just a glitch where like people had voted for choice C and they showed the scene that would have played for choice B essentially. And I was like, what are we even doing here if this doesn't work? And then on top of that, they had this whole aspect to the end of the episodes where it would cut away from like the story in the quote unquote real world and it would be one of the characters trying to escape like an otherworld type scenario through a bunch of quick time events and the chat had to like click on screen to try and do the quick time events and you like had to have enough people like make a certain choice to like succeed. I can't remember exactly what it was, but like the first two nights it was a mess. The third night chat actually got the hang of it and was able to actually help the character like survive the whole sequence, and then it says you failed the sequence anyway. And so at that point I'm just like, look, I can't do this. Like I was willing to give you the benefit of the doubt and some leeway when it came to like the story and other stuff, even though there were certain aspects of that I wasn't really enjoying. But when the game part of it doesn't even work, I imagine that over time they got it to work better. But at that point, they just lost so much goodwill for me that I was like, I don't. And it was also this was the other big mistake that I think they made was like this was the first thing that got released of all those things from the
Yeah.
Silent Hill transmission that were announced. This was the first thing that got released, and after like 10 years essentially since the last main and the last Silent Hill games had come out, which were Downpour and Book of Memories, which were both like not necessarily well received. Downpour I liked well enough, but didn't quite work for me. Book of Memories I never got a chance to play because it was on the PS Vita, and it was a dungeon crawler, which okay. um,
Okay. Yeah.
uh, I honestly like if anyone has a
You can't
copy
see
of
my
it.
face. I've just been sitting here for like 10 minutes being like, oh, oh, yeah. I mean, we've had this conversation before, but I'm
Yeah,
still just like, why? Why though?
yeah, it's like I honestly wanted to at least try the game out just to see how it could have been. Um, but on a basic level, it's like okay, but when people want to play a Silent Hill game, when people are going to Silent Hill, is a dungeon crawler what they want out of it? That's kind of the question that I ask myself sometimes when they were making a bunch of different choices with different things like Silent Hill Ascension. Is this what people want from a Silent Hill game? I don't know.
At this.
um,
So that kind of leads me into something I had really wanted to ask. When I started watching a bunch of playthroughs, just 'cause that's kind of been my hobby at night to wind down at night. It's like, let's watch somebody play a game in the background. That's fun.
mhm.
And so I watched a bunch of people play Silent Hill 2, the remake, and a lot of them, some of them had played the original. And I loved watching people walk out of that restroom with James and go, "Oh my God, this is gorgeous." Or like the moment when he's looking in the mirror and they're like, "His hands look real."
Yeah.
Oh my God. And like nobody had believed Bloober could pull this off.
Hmm.
No, like in retrospect, I didn't know anything about any of this happening, but like I am so happy for Bloober Team that they knocked this out of the park
Yeah.
and proved everybody wrong. Like nobody thought they had this in them and they did, and it's incredible. But I loved watching people, and that smooth transition from the opening cutscene to now you're in control of James,
Yeah.
and it's like it's just completely seamless and just everybody reacting to that. And then, similarly, there's things everybody has like one thing in the game, something in the motion capture, the face capture where they're like, holy shit, they put that in the game. And for me it
Hmm.
was his leg kind of jiggling as he's nervously as he's leaning over the railing, and for you it was that one jaw kind of movement right before the flesh lip.
Yeah.
And like what was that like to come from 20 years of, okay, the original games were good but it was like PS2 technology.
Mhm.
Okay, the series has really taken a downturn. Okay, Ascension is a thing that's happening. They're going to remake this game. Oh, dear God, what is happening? Like, what was it like to go from that to look at this?
Yeah. Uh, that is the thing of it where Konami, it wasn't even like the Bloober Team stuff. That's its own conversation, but just Konami coming out with anything Silent Hill at this point, they had lost so much goodwill between like Silent Hill 4, which was the last game made by the original Team Silent, that came out in 2004, and even that one, people were like, I don't know if I really like this, and that was by the original creators. um, and then after that, you got Silent Hill Homecoming, which felt a little bit too Western, like action horror type thing in certain ways. Not action horror, but it felt much more like Hollywood style horror, which didn't always jive, and didn't have a lot of the subtlety of the early games. Silent Hill Origins, which was okay and probably aesthetically felt the most like the original games, but kind of went through a lot of troubles just developing the story for it. Um, Silent Hill, what came out after those two? There was Shattered Memories, which was actually my favorite of the Western made games. Reimagining of the original Silent Hill for the Wii, which I still think was a fantastic game, and I hope I get to like stream it or record it at some point because I really like that game.
Actually kind of want to play it too. You've
Yeah,
spoken so highly of it.
and like I've been
Wonder
very
if it's
careful
available.
to like avoid spoilers for that game, despite the fact that I've been spoiling so many of the other games for you. Like that game, I think it would be really cool if you got a chance to play it unspoiled. But and then Silent Hill Downpour, which was like, I don't want to go on a whole tangent about Downpour. I like that Downpour exists. I think for the most part it was a decent game, but there are certain things that didn't work for me. And then Book of Memories, which again, it was like, why are we doing a dungeon crawler? And I didn't get a chance to play it. But all that to say, like there were years of just Konami consistently missing the mark. Then you've got the whole PT fiasco with uh, the playable teaser for a Silent Hill game that was going to be made by Hideo Kojima and Guillermo del Toro, who I had always thought would be a perfect director for a Silent Hill movie. And then Konami was just like, no, we're not going to do it. Mostly because they had just such a poor relationship with Hideo Kojima at that point.
Like even I know about the beef.
Yeah.
Even I know about that. They lost so much goodwill.
So yeah,
Like
go.
even today, it's yeah.
Yeah. Uh, so all of that to say, like, Konami starts announcing new Silent Hill stuff, and every Silent Hill fan is just like, I will believe it when I see it. um, and like the Silent Hill 2 remake, like the trailers start coming out, and people are like, oh, he looks weird. This thing's weird. Why are they doing this with it?
Yeah.
Bloober Team
He looks too
actually,
old.
yeah,
Yeah.
and there were a lot of bits of that feedback that Bloober Team actually took to heart, like the fact that they originally wanted James to look older and be older, and then when people really started to rail against that, they de-aged him essentially so that he
Nope,
was.
not worth it. Going back.
um,
Not worth the heat. We're just gonna undo that. That's
yeah,
fine.
and it's something that I like. I always want to temper my comments about because I hear a lot of people talking about how like, oh, it's so good that they listen to fan feedback, and I'm like, okay, to a certain degree, but also I don't think creators should be like slaves to their fans, um especially
Like
fans that can often be incredibly unreasonable.
what I heard about the first patch, and I think there's a video comparing this to kind of prove that it's true, is that they changed Maria's appearance
Mm,
from the, day and date release, is that they made her head somewhat smaller
mm,
as a better proportion, but they also made her chest bigger.
hmm,
And so on one hand you're like, okay, to make her body proportions a little better. Okay, that's a good feedback. And then you're like, guys, really? You for real? I think she looks great, but
yeah,
knowing that they were like, no, she needs bigger breasts. It's like, oh, come on. Come on now.
yeah,
Like, I think she looks great, but I hate that they were like, we probably need to do that for these nerds. Come on, let's go. That's rude. That's mean. But
Yeah.
just, how this game handles the I don't want to say gender issues, but it's very sensitive to women within what does have to happen in the story, that it was kind of like, come on, y'all.
Yeah.
Don't listen to these guys complaining about. I don't even want to get into it, except that,
Mm-hmm.
I had heard
Mm-hmm.
people complaining about Gianna Keel not being pretty enough,
Oh my
which
gosh.
on one hand, you're total garbage for even that should even be an issue to you, given her story, but also she's perfectly attractive. What's wrong with you? She's so pretty. Get out of here. I have become I do have gamer brain. I didn't understand why gamers were known for being so reactive and
Mm-hmm.
obsessive, and then it happened to me. And I was like, "Oh, okay, I get it now. I'm sorry. You're still ridiculous, but I am too, so that's fine."
But
Poor Salome
yeah,
Gunnarsdottir. She pronounced her name.
I
It's
thought
it's
that was
somewhere
how it's pronounced.
between where you and I were saying it.
Yeah.
It's somewhere in the middle. Um, but people were just so mean to her,
Mm.
and her mods had to kind of chase somebody out of her stream. But she's on Twitch now, and she's all the way where I left off. She'd just gotten to Toluca prison, so she's done another stream last night, and I don't
Oh
know where
wow.
she is as of this point. So I think I don't think she's finished the game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she could have possibly finished it, but maybe.
She's cooking though.
Um, now I will say they convinced her to play it on hard midway through, and then she died and didn't realize the game reset her to light.
Mm-hmm.
So like they convinced her to jump all the way up to the hardest
Oh
setting,
jeez.
and they were all so proud of how well she was doing, and then somebody was like, when you die it resets to where you were before. And it was like, no,
Oh.
we were so proud of you. But she was just a total baller. She was so
Yeah.
good once she learned the dodges, and she's gotten so good at it.
Mm-hmm.
But people were so mean to her, and you can tell that it's meant so much to her to have this chat rooting for her and saying, "We loved you in this game. Can you tell us about what it was like to
Yeah.
film record this and that and these lines?" And you can tell how much it means to her, and
Yeah.
it's just really made her feel so much better.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it pains me that this is so good, and then I can completely understand having some criticisms of the game. There are points where I'm like, that could have been better.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm like 98 out of 100. It could be better. If
Mm-hmm.
people are like, I loved the game for 20 years and this is just not my game, I'm like, that's fair. The
Mm-hmm.
Labyrinth remake is not going to be my Labyrinth. That's fine. You know,
Yeah.
so whatever. But just to pick at the weirdest things and be so mean about it
Yeah. The
is just weird
and
and
that's just
unnecessary.
textbook internet, textbook gamers, where it's like I I'm honestly, and uh this isn't talking about our conversation right now specifically, but it's I'm tired of having the conversation of like people online need to treat other people like human beings. Uh,
Yeah, like how long we've been having this for at least 20 years,
yeah, and
if not 40. I mean,
particularly when it comes to women on the internet, like, yeah, we don't need to go down that whole rabbit hole, but yeah, it's ridiculous. I still can't get over like what happened with Laura Bailey when Last of Us Part 2 came out. She played a character in that, and
yeah,
without spoiling things, her character did something very, uh, very
upsetting.
upsetting. Uh, and people were like DMing her on Twitter and stuff with like death threats and like how could you do this? How dare you? Or something. It's like, first of all, it's a story. Second of all, she is an actor. She is not the
She didn't write
character.
it.
She didn't write it. Uh,
She didn't do this at you. Like,
it's the sort of thing that makes me really concerned about people's perception of reality.
Yeah. It
Uh,
it really it worries me. It
mm,
it really does. And you can't even be like it's the kids today because I can tell you people were just this nutty 20 years ago. I mean,
yeah.
it might be social media eating our brains, but there was something else eating our brains 20 years ago as well.
I mean, you
I
just
don't
look
know.
at video of the Beatles in the '60s and the
Yeah.
people in the crowds screaming for them. It's like there's a whole conversation to be had about like celebrity or people in the media or whatever, and like parasocial relationships. I always like to go back to the line from I was raised on progressive rock, so I got to make a Rush reference. My the song Limelight, where there's a lyric that says, "I can't pretend a stranger is a long-awaited friend." That's what it is. Living in a fisheye lens, caught in the camera eye. I have no heart to lie. I can't pretend a stranger is a long-awaited friend. And it was Neil Peart talking about how like Rush had gotten pretty big at that point, and they were playing big shows, and people would up to them and like want autographs and just like be so nervous and get so worked up over it. Whereas Neil is on the other side of that, and he's just like, you have this whole relationship with me and I don't know who you are and I don't know how to
Yeah.
respond to this. Uh,
Yeah. And I mean, I am seeing a little bit of that on Salome's stream
yeah.
in her chat. A little bit of that where people are like, it's so crazy to see the person you have a crush on playing. I'm like, no, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Mission abort. Get out of here. What are you doing?
Mm.
And then, but it was like, okay, so people have just insane gamer brain, and then it happened to me, and I'm like, I will fight you in the parking lot. You leave her alone. You meet me there after school, okay?
Mm.
Like it happened to me, and I think part of it is just a game engages you on so many different levels, like your
Mm.
hands, the music, you're in it. You spend so many hours as compared to a 2 hour movie, no matter how many times you
Yeah.
watch it. I've still, even considering that, I've put in more than 100 hours on this game over the year,
Mm-hmm.
doing commentary research. And because for everybody listening, while yours is based on story and theme, but very much music, mine is sort of the experience of a middle-aged newbie gamer, story theme, and let's look at every single painting in the background, apparently.
Mm.
So I had been doing so much research and kind of had my head in this for 100 hours of gameplay. Like I see how this really gets into your head. And then, over the years, people would make video game movies and the video game communities would never be happy about it. And now I understand why.
Mm-hmm.
Because even if you make a good video game movie, you still weren't able to cram 16 hours of story into it.
Yeah. I think
And you weren't able to, people couldn't play it. They couldn't
yeah.
experience it from that perspective. And it's just not satisfying the way the game is.
I think I might have brought this up in one of our emails, like for anyone who's just dropping into this whole story. Like Cleo and I have been emailing back and forth throughout our like commentating on the game and stuff. And I think at one point I did bring up the fact that like it's interesting to think about video games as a form of media because I think a lot of people look at a video game and because it's visual, they think like, oh, it should be adapted into movie. That makes a lot of sense. Like movies and video games, they're both visual media in that way, cinematic media in that way. But for me, like over the years, I've really developed a feeling that the closest piece of media that a video game is to, just in terms of how you consume it or interact with it, is a book. Whereas like a movie or a TV series is something that's a little bit more passive, where you kind of like sit and watch it and you receive it. A book is something that like you have to like actively read, and your brain develops an image in your head, and you read at your own pace. You might like read a chapter, put the book down, and come back to it later. And also in terms of like hours, it also they're all video games are also similar to books in that books, like if it's a novel, you're going to take hours upon hours to read that potentially. um and so that like there is something about reading a book that I think is similar to playing a video game, and how like what you're getting at, how personal an experience it is because there's that interactive element to it.
We talked about how basically no two playthroughs are going to look the same.
Yeah.
Not just because people play the game differently, but they just point the camera in different places. And that's why it was really fun to watch multiple people play the game because not only were they having a different relationship to, the story, they already knew it, they had never heard it, they didn't know what was happening. They got jumped by different kinds of monsters in different
Mhm.
ways. They ran right past them. I go very slowly and stalk everything. You
Mhm.
know, it's like you're watching if you watch 20 different streamers, you're watching 20 different movies.
Yeah. And
And
so
it's so personal.
when it comes to movie adaptations, they're like I think video games have one of the biggest hurdles when it comes to being adapted because particularly for games like this where there are multiple endings or there are many personal ways you can play, like there are different routes you can choose, different things you can do. Uh, as a filmmaker, you've got to figure out, okay, I have an hour and a half to 2 hours to tell a story. There's so many different things that so many different people take away from this video game. How do I distill that into a 2 hour experience?
I don't even I can see
Yeah.
why they're tempted to try that, but I almost think if they even want to try it, probably needs to be a series length
That's
like
the thing.
show.
That's why I'm glad that we're starting to see more series adaptations of video games rather than just movies. Like Fallout, the Fallout TV series. I think at like the second season hasn't come out, but I watched the whole first season. I haven't played. I played a little bit of Fallout New Vegas. I watched my college roommate play through a bunch of Fallout 3 in New Vegas. Um, but the Fallout TV series was fantastic. And I think one of the part of the reason it works better is again you're able to spend more time in the world the way that you can in a video game. There's more room to include all those different elements that you can include in a video game. But one thing in particular that they did with the Fallout TV series was they told their own story in the world of Fallout. So they were very faithful to the world and the lore, but when it came to the actual storyline that they were telling, they were like, "This is a new character from a different like." Part of the thing about the Fallout games is like it's a post-apocalyptic world. Everyone went into these vaults when nuclear war happened, and so you're playing as someone who comes up out of the vaults and is exploring the nuclear wasteland. That is the simplest way I can put Fallout. Um, and so each game, in a way, like you're playing a different character from a different vault. And so they essentially took that same philosophy with the TV series, where it's like, oh, like all of the details of this are incredibly faithful to the game, but we're just telling a new story in it and adapting certain aspects of the lore as context. Um,
And so there's no sense of you did this incorrect. This is
yeah.
not what this character's supposed to look like or what they do.
Mhm.
They just gave themselves that. That's a really good
Yeah.
idea. What I really wanted to talk about to make sure we do this in a
Mhm.
timely fashion, since I
Yeah.
mentioned the music. No, I mean this is what our conversations are like. We could go
Yeah.
for hours. So
I had figured it was going to go longer than we expected.
yeah, if we have to even cut this into parts and be
Yeah.
like, this is the part where we talk about all of the games. This is the part like we can
Yeah.
do that.
And that's exactly what we did. This concludes part one of our discussion. If you're watching it as it releases, part two should be coming out next Saturday. In the meantime, you can follow Cleo on most social media platforms as Cleolinda or Cleolinda Jones. You can find all of my stuff via my website, ian-doherty.com. If you'd like to support us making more stuff like this, together or individually, you can also find each of us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/Cleolinda and at patreon.com/Ian Doherty. Thanks for listening, and see you next time. So yeah, whenever you're ready to start.
Oh, now I have to start.
Again,
It's like a boss fight where you're like, I could just keep standing outside the store. I don't have to. Can I just wake up in the middle of it? What are we doing? Um,